Representatives from gas giant Chevron and the unions representing workers at its two major facilities in Western Australia will meet again to stop a prolonged protest action that threatens to affect global gas supply and prices. Sheina Selim reports.
The Australian Fair Work Commission booked a hearing on September 22 after the industrial disputes body agreed to rule on the escalating tensions between Chevron and its workers at its liquefied natural gas or LNG plants in Western Australia. The hearing was set after the first of the strikes started last week at its massive Gorgon and Wheatstone sites over pay and working conditions. On September 22, Australia's Fair Work Commission, or FWC, will launch a full bench assessment with Chevron and the Australian Workers' Union and Electrical Trades Union for bargaining declarations. The plants supply about 7% of the global LNG supply and 47% of Western Australia's domestic gas. Chevron Australia is in favor of the expedited hearing set on September 22, but the unions argued the date was too soon for them to adequately respond to the company's submissions. The company on Monday said it no longer expects to reach a deal with unions and would try an untested legal strategy to stop industrial action at its two massive LNG facilities in Western Australia after weeks of negotiation failed. FWC will be forced to intervene and impose its will on parties in case both sides fail to renegotiate. The Commission warned that the dispute has a potentially devastating effect on global energy markets, which was why it expedited the hearing. Reporting from New South Wales, this is Sheina Selim, SMNI News, Australia.
Australia and Indonesia joined other allied forces in showing off their military capabilities in ongoing drills in the Indonesian island of Java. Devi Suarez reports.
Australia and Indonesian forces showed the world what they got as they deployed their respective battle tanks for the 2023 Garuda Shield exercises in Indonesia. Australian forces deployed 5 M1A1 Abrams battle tanks, and the Indonesian military sent 2 Leopard 2 tanks for the 2-week combat exercises in a coastal district in East Java province. Australia has deployed the main battle tanks outside its territory for the first time since the Vietnam War between the 1950s and the 1970s. Garuda Shield exercise started on August 31st and will end on September 13. This year's iteration convened more than 6,000 troops from Indonesia, Australia, Japan, the US, and Singapore, including new participants from France and the United Kingdom. Another 12 nations joined the drill as observers. American and Indonesian soldiers have held annual drills since 2009. The multinational exercise is taking place amid tensions between the US and China. Reporting from New South Wales, this is Devi Suarez, SMNI News, Australia.
Myanmar has received the first shipment of fighter jets ordered from Russia. Anissa de Guzman tells us more.
Myanmar's industry minister confirmed 2 Russian Su fighter jets have arrived in the country at the sidelines of an international forum held in Russia. The Southeast Asian nation signed a contract with Russia to order 6 Su fighter jets in 2018, with negotiations finalized in September 2022. The multi-role fighter jet can perform a 45-hour combat mission and is designed for the enemy's aerial target engagement, aerial reconnaissance, combat employment, and pilot training. Myanmar's industry minister announced the delivery of the fighter jets on the sidelines of the 2023 Eastern Economic Forum being held in Russia's Far East city of Vladivostok. The annual forum started on September 10 and ends on September 13. As ties grew between the two nations, the United States has warned that Moscow's support for Myanmar's military rulers is unacceptable and destabilizing. Myanmar and Russia will also sign a number of bilateral agreements at the East Economic Forum, including on bilateral cooperation on tourism. Di siya Anissa de Guzman, Rangan Chakontep Mahanakon, SMNI News, Pratatay, Sawadika.
Russian President Vladimir Putin and North Korean leader Kim Jong-un held a rare meeting in Russia. On the same day, Pyongyang reportedly fired unidentified ballistic missiles toward East Sea. Sela Yun reports.
Putin and Kim held a rare meeting in Russia as South Korea's Joint Chief of Staff and Japan confirmed that North Korea fired unidentified ballistic missiles toward the East Sea or the Sea of Japan. The two leaders met each other and pledged his country North Korea's support for Russia in its standoff with the United States and its allies. Kim also made a rare visit to meet Putin at the space facility at the far eastern Amur region of Russia. According to Kim, quote, Russia has risen for a sacred fight to protect its national sovereignty and safety against hegemonic forces. We will always stand together against imperialism, end of quote. Kremlin spokesman Dmitry Peskov later told journalists that negotiations between the Russian and North Korean delegations followed the remarks by Putin and Kim lasted approximately an hour. The two leaders then had a one-to-one meeting. The United States had already warned Kim ahead of his state visit not to sell weapons to Russia. Meanwhile, neither Russia nor North Korea has expressed any intention of engaging such arrangement. To recall, Kim arrived at the Primorsky Krai of Russia on Tuesday morning, reportedly using an armored train that has carried the Kim family for decades. Kim arrived along with the General Secretary of the Workers' Party of Korea and the President of State Affairs of the Democratic Republic of Korea or DPRK. Alexander Kozlov, the Minister of Natural Resources and Ecology of Russia, and Primorsky Krai Governor Oleg Kozhemyaka welcomed and greeted them at a local train station. Governor Kozhemyaka said he was looking forward to more cooperation between Primorsky Krai and DPRK.
Мы 4 года назад встречались здесь же с председателем государственных дел, товарищем Ким Чен Ыном, и мы поговорили о том, что, конечно, уже мы ожидаем в этом году открытия совместных проектов, связанных с развитием туризма, развитием сельского хозяйства. То есть, безусловно, это вопросы, связанные, в общем-то, и со строительством. Поэтому, конечно, сейчас комиссии будут прорабатывать эти механизмы, но мы надеемся, что здравоохранение.
It has been 4 years since his first meeting with Kim Jong-un and the President of State Affairs of the DPRK at the same location. Therefore, on Kim's second visit, the governor expects the launch of joint projects for further development of tourism and agriculture with the DPRK.
Того, что эти контакты будут продолжены на уровне не только глав государств, но на уровне рабочих групп, на уровне различных комиссий, но и самое главное, на уровне тех деловых и экономических связей, которые и дружественных, которые всегда связывали наши страны. Мы к этому готовы, предложили несколько вариантов сотрудничества. Я думаю, что мы эту работу продолжим, ну и по мере возможности, конечно, обменяемся визитами, в том числе и в Корею со стороны приморской делегации, как только будут уже сняты окончательные ограничения по системе здравоохранения Кореи.
The governor hopes Kim's visit to Russia will be a sign of the extension of commercial and economic relations between the two countries. Now that the DPRK health authorities have lifted their control measures, he proposed several programs through bilateral visits, including a delegation from the Primorsky Krai to the DPRK. Seoul Isubugosela Unimnida News, South Korea.